everyone, this is Alfian Agriwala from TATHAGAT IAS Academy. I welcome you all to this session where we will discuss some latest and trending economic issues related to Indian economy. So we have with ourselves Dr. Nawazuddin. Sir, I welcome you to our YouTube channel to TATHAGAT IAS Academy.
Thank you, Alfian. Thank you.
So, before moving further, just a quick question, sir. As we know, the budget is going to be released tomorrow. So, do you have any wish list? Like, what is your wish list for the budget? What do you expect?
Wish list. You want me to comment on what I want in the budget?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, as you used the term wish list, so for me, the wish list is always health and education.
Okay.
I always want that there must be more and more expenditure, government expenditure on these two sectors, health and education.
Okay.
Because it is not a random kind of answer, because you suddenly asked me about the wish list, but look at the GDP expenditure on the health and education. For education, it is around 2.8 to 3%.
Yes.
And there is no growth in this sector. Okay, the GDP, the expenditure on education in percentage of GDP from last 7 years is something about like constant. Okay, and in case of the health also, there is no growth. Earlier we used to spend 1% of our GDP on health. Now we are roughly spending around 1.5%. Okay, so we really need to increase the expenditure on these two sectors.
Definitely.
Because if we want to grow faster, if we want our workforce to be healthier, we have to spend. You cannot run an economy with a 30% your children are malnourished. Okay, if there is a more than 50% out of pocket expenditure. Okay, so you have to increase, you must increase the expenditure on health, the expenditure on education. So I really like to see the increased expenditure, although there is a very little hope for me, because during the pandemic years, I saw last year there were 10% budget cut for the health. So I have really no hope, but let's see what happened tomorrow. And I also want just one more thing. I also want that there must be some tax cut on the health items.
Okay.
Okay, you need not to collect taxes on the sanitizer, gloves, and all these things. So because the medical equipments are really very important. Okay, India imports 70-80% of medical imports equipment from the abroad. Okay, so you have to cut taxes on all these equipments. You need not to collect you need not to rely for your tax requirements on particularly on the health item. So this is also you can include in my wish list, that there must be some tax benefits on the health items.
Okay.
So this is the as you asked.
Okay, we'll come back to this topic later. My next question to you, sir. OXFAM India report, Inequality Kills. So, what are your views about this? How you see this inequality in India, the OXFAM report?
That is very interesting question, because all the media outlets covered this report widely. So for me, I haven't read the report, the entire report, but what I read in the newspapers and all, that one thing that attracted my attention, a very good statistics given by this report, that 98 people in India own the same amount of wealth as the more than 550 million people they hold. Okay, so that is the huge gap of inequality between the rich, and even we should not call them rich. They are the super rich. Only 98 people in this country, if they are owning the same amount of money the 550 million people are owning. So then this is that is why I said that it is very interesting statistics. There are many facts that are reported by this Oxfam India. One more fact was that the income during this pandemic, during last year, the income of the super rich has increased tremendously. Okay, there is a very high growth in the income of the rich people. But when it comes to the the 84% people of this country, the poor, the middle class, okay, their income, has declined. Okay, so during the same phase, the income of the rich is increasing. They have seen the record high in their income, the super rich. The poor people, they have witnessed decline in their income. About the report says around 83%. And not
Yes.
only this report, there is a tendency whenever such reports come, we only look at the inequality. Otherwise, we ignore inequality. But there are many reports like the report by World Economic Forums and all. They even say that the top 10% people holds more than 50% of the total wealth. Okay, and the 50% of the middle and the bottom population of the country, they holds around 10 or 13% of the total wealth. So there is a high concentration of the inequality in this country, and the irony is that this inequality is growing. What this report suggests, that is not the new truth that there is an inequality. The new truth is that the inequality has increased during this pandemic. Particularly, there is a decline in the income of the poor and the income of the middle class, and there is a rise in the income of the record rise in the income of the rich and super rich. So the inequality is widening, and if you want, you said that what is my view, if you want to achieve a 5 trillion economy, then it is inevitable. Today or tomorrow you will get that 5 trillion economy. But what type of composition of 5 trillion economy you want? Okay, so the issue is that do you want that your 5 trillion economy will be owned by the very few people, or you want that many people will be beneficiary of this 5 trillion economy? So you have to think about that. The 5 trillion economy is not a big deal. Okay, the composition matter, the composition in terms of the human capital, the fall in income, as this report suggests that 84% people of this country witnessed fall in their income. It means that they are going to consume less, isn't it? It means that they are going to spend less on health, they are going to spend less on education. There will be low quality of life, low living of standard. That is what the reduction in income means. And again, it will again create many imbalances in the society. Forget about economics, forget about the GDP, forget about the consumption pattern. Okay, think about the social structure. What would be the impact of such inequality on the entire social fabric, social structure of the country? So all these things are very important. So we cannot look this inequality data in terms of the economics only. In terms of the economics, what we think that if the rich, they are increasing in the country, okay, so they demand a certain kind of luxury, their consumption pattern is different, so the production process will shift in favor of these people. Okay, such products employ a less number of labor in the production of these products. So in terms of economy, we can keep thinking about all these things.
Okay.
But my worry is about the social inequality, the social structure, how the people are going to react on all this social inequality. We have already seen what happened in the last week in terms of the job demand and all. On the tracks of railway, the youth are on the tracks of the railway.
Yes.
So this is soon. I don't want to comment much on this issue, because we have to look for the future, and we all want a good, safe future. But these type of reports, these type of figures, we must be worrying about all these things, all these developments in terms of the social structure, other than the economy, social and political structure.
Okay, so coming back to the budget discussion, as you mentioned that we are in the middle of the pandemic, and also you look forward to the health and education sector in the budget. So what do you expect, like how will this budget affect our economy this financial year and next financial year?
Okay, so let me come to again my point on the health and education. Okay, so as you asked, how this budget is going to impact on economy on the next fiscal year, this fiscal year. So see, For me, the economy means the people. Okay, the people of this country,
Okay.
the people of this nation. Okay, how they are going to grow in the upcoming years, in this fiscal year or in the next fiscal year. For me, the economy is not about just the numbers. The GDP is growing, the stock market is doing well, how this budget, how the stock market will react. Okay, that is how we generally look. Okay, how the market is going to react, how the infrastructure will take place after this budget and all these things. Will there be any kind of the price relaxation after the tax cut and all these things? But I want to look, and I want all the people should look this budget, that how this budget is going to solve some of the big crises that we are currently facing. Okay, as I said, the well-being of the economy, the well-being of the people of this economy. Okay, the standard of living of the people of this economy. Okay, whether they are going to earn more or less, then only I will say that the economy is doing good or bad. Okay, that would be the impact on the impact on the people of the economy is actually the impact on the economy. How the people are going to get their employment. Okay, how they are going to spend. Okay, their health, their education, and all these things matters a lot. So if this budget is going to solve, okay, so let me elaborate this point. You must be thinking that this is more about the sociology and not economics. But I can prove my point. Okay, in terms of the economics. Okay, if, as I said, as reports suggest that 83% people of this country witnessed a fall in their income. Okay, so income is an important indicator of the economy. Okay,
definitely, yes.
So this budget should revive that income. Okay, then only the real impact will come out. Okay, the second aspect, as I said, the saving, the people of this country they are not saving, in large number. Okay, since 2015, when I was a student, that time the total saving rate was around 23-24%. Okay, since 2015, the saving, the saving rate in this country is around 15%. It is stagnated. Before the pandemic, it was around 11%.
Okay,
and the recent data, it suggests that the saving is around roughly around 8 or 9%. Okay, so the saving has been eroded by this pandemic. Okay, the people are earning less, the people are indebted. Okay, there is a very high loans on the people of this country, because they have spent to mitigate the pandemic. They took very high amount of loans. Okay, in terms of the wage growth, look at the wage growth of the rural area. Rural wage growth is one of the important indicator of the economy. Okay, in case of the non-farm wage, rural non-farm wage, the growth of the rural non-farm wage is half compared to the what was earlier. The growth of the rural farm wage is is coming down. Okay, so as I proved my point in terms of the economic. If the wages are not increasing, if the income is decreasing, if the people are not able to save enough, the people are indebted. Okay, the employment is coming down. Okay, the workforce, the lesser and lesser people are participating in the economy. So government has to fix all these issues. If the budget is going to correct all these things in the future, then I will say the budget is going to impact positively. Otherwise, how can we say that budget is going to impact positively? So government must look into all these issues. Okay, look at so how the government is going to spend. Okay, how the expenditure of the government is going to revive all these sectors.
Okay,
The income of the people, the saving of the people. Okay, the employment, it is very important. The employment is very important. Okay, if the people will earn, automatically they will generate some income, they will spend. Okay, and the consumption also. The one important part of the GDP, the consumption is stagnated. Even currently the consumption is not reached to the pre-pandemic level. Okay, it is still 3% less than the pre-pandemic level.
Okay.
So one of the important component of the GDP calculation, the consumption is not, on the pre-pandemic level, then we cannot say there is a recovery. And until there is not recovery in terms of the consumption, in terms of investment, in terms of saving, in terms of the I must say in terms of the employment, then we cannot say recovery. And until there is no recovery, government must spend on different sectors to revive all these economy. Now how the government will spend? Okay, so how do we look at the budget? Okay, the deficit, the income, the expenditure of the government, the tax collections, okay, the debt to GDP ratio. Okay. So government is following the fiscal consolidation path. Government wants to reduce debt to GDP ratio. Government wants to cut down on the fiscal deficit. But personally, if somebody will ask me, as I mentioned, a series of problems in the economy, they should, restrain from cutting down on the expenditure. Okay. They can follow the fiscal consolidation path after 1 or 2 years. But this is not the right time. You have to, expand your fiscal space. Then only you will be able to support the people of this country. Okay, you have to spend, Okay. Or if you do not want to expand your fiscal space, then at least shift the tax burden from indirect taxes to the direct taxes. As you mentioned about the OXFAM report, you have to put tax burden from a certain class to another class. You cannot keep charging from the petroleum products, from the LPG. Okay, you have to reduce that. I didn't mention about the inflation. Inflation is a big problem. You have to, address all these issues. Now there is one concern, just one more point I want to speak on that. One more concern is that people are saying that if government is really going to spend a lot, okay, because I just recalled about the inflation. If government is really going to spend a lot and if government is expanding the fiscal space, then there will be more inflation in the future. Okay, so government has to take care about that also. So if you can't able to expand your space, then kindly shift the tax burden, okay, from GST collection to the direct taxes. Put taxes on the super rich people, earn your revenue from there, okay. If you don't want to run economy on the basis of deficit, okay, earn your revenue from there, spend on all these sectors. So that is the one way. If there is argument that, but for me that is not the argument. If people are saying that, if somebody will criticize me that there is no, because the inflation is high, the fiscal deficit will further increase inflation in the future. Okay, if you are worrying about the inflation, so you should fix the burden and start spending. At least give wages to the Manrega workers. Okay, because there is recently a report. That report came out with a very striking kind of facts. The one fact was that government created asset in this country and paid below the minimum wages to the Manrega workers. And government saved by this method by underpayment about 40,000 crores in last 2 years. Okay. So if you would have given 40,000 crore to the people of this country, so we wouldn't have seen the kind of OXFAM report is reporting. So in the last year, even for example, if the government has created 40,000 crore rupee assets. Okay, so government paid 20,000 crore rupee less to the people of the workers who are working under the Manrega. There are reports that 17,000 crore rupee has been stopped by the government. It is the pending area with the government. Okay, there are reports and there are research papers that suggest that the late payment, this is a very big problem in case of MG Narega. Okay, the people are not getting their wages even after 30 days of the work. Okay, so if they are not getting wages on the right time, it means that you are not spending. You are giving below the minimum wages. Okay, somebody was saying people, you know, somewhere I was reading that the Manrega is, you know, Manrega set the floor of the minimum wages, but the research suggests otherwise. Manrega reduced the floor of the minimum wages in this country. Look at the wages of the different states. People are not earning 230 rupees under the Manrega. The last month, in MP, in Chhattisgarh, only 3 rupee increment took place. There is no growth in the Manrega wages. In the Chhattisgarh, the highest increment was in the Meghalaya. And do you know how much increment took place in the wages of the Manrega in the Meghalaya? 23 rupees. That was the highest. So what about other 30 states in this country? Okay, so you have to spend, at least spend on the MG Narega. Last year, there was a massive budget cut in the Manrega. I think 1.11 lakh crore to 72,000 crore rupee. The total allocation was reduced to 72,000 crore rupee. It is around 36% reduction was in the Manrega. So at least we do not expect the same kind of especially at the time when the people are demanding more work under the Manrega, MG Narega. So you have to give the wages to the people of this country who are working, give them employment if they are asking, okay, and increase the budgetary allocation on all these issues. And even you have to support the people. The 4 or 5 problems I mentioned about saving, investment, consumption, okay, health, education, you have to support the people of this country, give them cash for short-term period. Okay, if you cannot give them cash, there is a growing demand of the urban, employment guarantee scheme. Provide launch urban guarantee program. There are many economists who are already asking for this. Okay, but you cannot leave this country, the people of this country, the workers, in limbo for a long period of time. Okay, you can keep argue that this is for the short term, this crisis is short term, but in the short term, many people have suffered a lot. They have suffered a lot. So you have to support them. Okay. In economics, you say that in the long run everything will be settled down, but in there are sufferings in the short run. You have to support. You have to provide them very strong support, and you cannot argue in terms of the economics all the time. Everything is not about the number. The debt to GDP ratio, the fiscal deficit targets. Why are you making such targets at the time of the crisis? Why you want to reduce the fiscal deficit by 5.8%? And if you want to see really the impact of the budget on the upcoming years, you have to spend. You have to start spending. Give the dues, at least provide the dues, and leave this method of minimum wages to the state. There are other stakeholders in the minimum wage decide. Why the center keep deciding? Okay, so give all this, leave all these things, or at least include them when you decide. Everything is arbitrary. Nobody knows from where this minimum wage data is coming, from where why the government is releasing the data and giving to the states about the minimum wages. How the center is deciding, nobody knows. Although it is written in the act itself that 1948 minimum wage law should be followed, and according to the agricultural laborers, the minimum wages should be paid, but nobody knows. Even there are RTIs. People ask the ministry to disclose the information, how you are deciding on it, but there is no info. I don't know if there are information, but particularly I don't know. So the Manrega, MG Narega is one example. What I want to say, there is no expenditure. You cannot cut down on education. You cannot cut down on health. You cannot cut down on MG Narega. You have to pay the frontline workers. There is no growth in the wages of the ASHA workers. There is no growth in the wages of the Anganwadi Karyakarta. All these are the state subjects. In case of both state and center, there is no growth in the rural wages. If there is no growth in the Manrega, large section of the population, they are dependent on all these, work. You have to increase. They will spend, and they will, mitigate their crisis. So that is what I want to see in the upcoming budget. Let's see. Let's hope for good.
Okay, so I guess we have some time left. So before concluding this session, one last quick question to you, sir. The transfer of Air India to Tata's, how do you see this public-private debate?
Public-private debate.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I want to keep this issue, the transfer of Air India from, separately from that debate.
Okay.
Because for me, it is not about public-private debate.
Okay.
I'm very happy that Air India is transferred to the private sector, because it was a loss-making entity.
Yes.
Okay, at the last time I checked, Air India was making 700 crore rupee loss.
Okay.
Okay, and there were so many problems with the Air India in the purchase of the airplanes, the wages of the workers of the company, the pilots and all. There were so many issues. So for particularly Air India, I am happy, but I cannot generalize my view on the privatization and all on the other sector. Okay, we have to look at the case by case, as you asked about the debate between the public and private. So we have to come out from this traditional debate, the capitalism versus socialism. We have to look at the case by case. Okay, if you will ask me about the railway, then my views will be different. Okay, if you will ask me about other PSUs, so my views will be different. But this Air India, I'm glad that it is transferred. Okay. The second thing is that it was very inevitable. Okay. That is why I'm happy. Okay. Because it was inevitable, because the kind of people was running the Air India, the people, the IAS were running without any technical background, without any knowledge of the aviation industry. So it was inevitable, the loss was inevitable. Okay, the kind of purchasing took place in Air India, the kind of operation they are, operating everything via Mumbai, because they have their staff in the Mumbai, particularly their engineers and all. So it was not a consumer friendly. The other people, I don't want to name some of the people, they are in the government, not the not the leadership. The other people, the management people, they were getting large benefits out of India. They were traveling, from, they were taking help from Air India. So I am glad that it is transferred again to the Tata, because they started this. But the public-private debate is very long. And I want to see, every issue case by case. Okay. So that is what my comment is.
Okay, sir. So much to learn more from you, sir. But due to time shortage, we have to end this session now. We'll surely catch some other time. We'll surely conduct another session. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, our viewers, for watching us, for listening to us. We'll surely meet again next week. Thank you so much.